This is my life. I came to Southeast Asia when I was 12 years old. It was hard just to make a living. So, in my whole life, for me, my biggest achievement was fighting the invading Japanese army and joining the war of resistance against Japan. So I joined the resistance force against Japan. It's also for the existence of Malay people. That's why I joined the resistance force against Japan. My point of view was changed since then. The way I bear myself was completely different. So that was a very precious experience.
Malaysia Tan Sri Dato' Low Nam Hui isn't the richest Malaysian Chinese businessman, nor is he the most powerful politician. He is a 98-year-old owner of a listed company, taking his family towards the future. In his whole life, he has been a great influence on the developments of South Malaysia. Also the classic example of Malaysian Chinese going through failures and setbacks, then getting back on their feet.
Tan Sri is a man of high reputation.
Tan Sri is an example of the striving of Chinese. He didn't get much education, but he fought his way up, willing to get his hands dirty.
And having been through so many ups and downs, and because he faced so many risks, he could really handle a lot of pressure. I guess you could say that he just isn't afraid of anything. You could say that.
Tan Sri Dato' Low Nam Hui's life is like a historical legend. His life story of striving for success reflects all the changes in the past 100 years of Malaysia's history, from traditional feudalism, British colonial rule in the 1930s, Japanese occupation, anti-Japanese war, and independence to establish and develop as one nation. Tan Sri Dato' Low Nam Hui has been through all these 5 periods and develops his unique personality and leadership skills along the way. Low Nam Hui can achieve success today. The foundation was laid when he went to old-style private school as a child. During the 2 years studying in old-style private school, he read classical Chinese textbooks, also learned abacus training, commercial bookkeeping, and other practical life skills, so he can calculate the quantity of building materials for a thatched cottage and the amounts of fertilizer and water for every acre of vegetable field. When he was 12 years old, he started helping his parents to bring produce to other towns to sell. Because of his hard work and earnest attitude, he sold all the produce quickly every day. The work ethics of diligence and determination are the foundations of his successful career.
This is very admirable. His feeling for China, his national origin, is warm-hearted and full of nostalgia for the communication between China and Malaysia. He has many unique perspectives and makes every effort to put it into practice.
In 1941, the Second World War broke out. Japanese occupied Singapore. On February 1st, 1942, Japanese occupied Johor. Low Nam Hui witnessed Japanese soldiers raping local women. At that time, anti-Japanese university was founded at Tenkil, Kota Tingji. Low Nam Hui was one of the first students they took in. Because of studying hard and being responsible at work, he gained his superior's recognition. Soon he was appointed the district committee member of the anti-Japanese army in South Johor and was in charge of the military administration of the area. This was Low Nam Hui's first important leadership mission.
This river is called Songhai Sedili. It took about 1 hour from this river to the estuary by boat. During the War of Resistance against Japan, the Japanese blockaded the area strictly. So the anti-Japanese army set up a battalion called the 7th Detachment. The 7th Detachment of People's Anti-Japanese Army. After stationing, the 7th Detachment patrolled the seaside nearby. We patrolled every day. One day, the patrol saw a submarine floating in the sea. After the Japanese surrendered, our command headquarters was in the mountains. After the Japanese surrendered, we moved the command headquarters, moved right here, 3rd floor.
I think those former leaders took leadership roles in these social organizations very seriously. It's as important as their personal careers. They play very important roles, very important roles.
Low Nam Hui's career started from timber transport industry. Getting to know Malay compatriot Haja Musa was a turning point in his career. In 1958, Low Nam Hui carried his 4th son, Kwek Lee, to take a walk outside his house. He met his neighbor, a Malay compatriot, Haja Musa. Haja Musa was the former captain of Johor Military Force. He knew Low Nam Hui worked in the timber industry, so they worked together to open up the forest in Mersing. That's how Low Nam Hui started his timber yard development business. Because of Haji Musa, Low Nam Hui met the Sultans and the Royals. In 1965, he partnered with Johor nobleman royalty, Tengku Mahmud, set up Mados and Low Company. They started exporting timber, working together to build their timber business. In the general election in May 1969, a race riot called 13 May Incident broke out. Because of the riot, everyone in Malaysia was too afraid to do business. But Low Nam Hui saw it as the opportunity of a lifetime, so he flung himself into the sawmill business. He established Far East Plywood Berhad in 1970, started manufacturing plywood, fancy plywood, lumber core, and 3-layer plywood with different thickness. He built East Johor Sawmills Company next to the plywood factory, manufactured all kinds of lumber for exportation. With the implementation of new economic policy, Low Nam Hui bought Senan Oil Palm Estate, commonly known as Block 3 in southeast Pahang. Later on, with the same price, he bought Lian Hup Estate and successfully took his first step into palm oil industry. In 1975, he exhibited corporate foresight, decided to build his own palm oil mill inside Lian Hup Estate. From then on, Low Nam Hui's business had expanded to timber industry, timber processing, timber transport, and palm oil industry. In 1997, Low Nam Hui & Sons and Low Nam Hui Enterprise, through their subsidiary company Uniglobal, started to involve in palm oil industry development at Sabah and Sarawak in East Malaysia. After undertaking thorough inspection, they decided to engage in 2 different patterns of cooperation with Malays and local government. The palm oil business made huge profits for companies.
3-year-old oil palms at harvest time. The yield of 1 acre field was 30% to 40% at most. The yield of 100 acres field was 3 to 4 tons at most. After 5 to 8 years, 7 to 8-year-old oil palms were better.
After we established Mazranti Estate, we went on to set up the Harnland Palita Estate. After that, we bought the land next to it. We developed it step by step. What he said to us has gradually become reality.
In 1976, Dato Tan On Chan planned to build a 25-story building, but he faced a cash flow problem. Low Nam Hui decided to take over the construction. Because he knew all those construction contractors, plus his 2 palm oil plantations, were making lots of money, which was able to cover the construction cost. So in just 18 months, he completed the final 20 floors of this building. It became the only tall building in Johor Bahru, also the tallest landmark in South Malaya. After completion, it was called Low Nam Hui Tower. The Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ismail, named this building Johor Tower. Low Nam Hui became the first Malaysian Chinese entrepreneur in Johor Bahru who owned a tall building.
After buying this building, we had our own base. This was our headquarters. So we wanted to develop our business even further.
Holian Holdings Berhad was established on March 14, 1983. The purpose of Hong Kong Holian Holdings Berhad was to align with Malaysian government's new economic policy, transforming family businesses into enterprises to upgrade the economic status of Malaysians. Developing timber industry in Papua New Guinea was Low Nam Hui's other overseas investment plan. For a total of 8 years, he invested about $50 million, caused major cash flow problems to Low Nam Hui groups. In 2002, Low Nam Hui decided to acquire Sportma through Harnland, through the subsidiary company of Low Nam Hui & Sons. He started to reorganize this company into a palm oil company and listed on the second board of Bursa Malaysia again. When the company listed, palm oil plantations were in the harvest season, making big profits for the company.
Tan Sri Dato Low Nam Hui has a distinctive personal style. His vision is for local development. While he was leading the Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, he provided lots of advice to government as well on the community development and how to carry out the plans.
As the president of Chinese Chamber of Commerce, Low Nam Hui had a deep realization about the duty and mission of this organization. Based on his business experiences, he set up a basic policy of 3 goals for the Chamber of Commerce. First, to improve the development of commerce and industry, Johor Bahru, Chamber of Commerce was duty-bound. Second, to assist Chinese businessmen in enhancing economic strength, also to help and guide the Malay's business abilities in order to develop the economy together. Third, to strengthen the cohesiveness of local Chinese businessmen and stay connected with other chambers of commerce, so Johor State and Johor Bahru Chinese Chamber of Commerce can hold an important position in Malaysia to highlight Johor Bahru Chinese Chamber of Commerce's strength and influence. When Low Nam Hui took office as the president of Chinese Chamber of Commerce, he gave all members golden rules of business success and hoped Chinese businessmen act with integrity and serve society.
stationary manner that you can see all this in 1960, 1970, you can see Masuk.
Another example of Lo Nam Hui's great foresight when he was the president is his advice on the major local economic constructions, including Senai Airport, whole new Malaysia-Singapore border, checkpoint, and a port. In 2006, Prime Minister Abdullah pushed forward the Economic Corridors Plan. Iskandar Development Region in Johor has the outline of Lo Nam Hui's plans when he was the president of Chinese Chamber of Commerce. After World War II, Britain chose Malays as the subject of this new nation and proactively pushed forward Malaysian education. So Malaysian Chinese actively founded private Chinese middle schools to preserve their culture. But the process was difficult and painstaking. In 1986, Funyu High School Committee applied for setting up Funyu College, but was declined. However, during the parliament by-election in Johor Bahru, there came an unexpected turning point. On March 3, 1988, the president of Persekutuan Tionghoa, Datuk Lo Nam Hui, appealed to Prime Minister Mahathir during the banquet for applying to setting up the college. The Prime Minister promised to consider it. Soon after that, the Deputy Minister of Education handed the approval letter to Datuk Lo Nam Hui, the president of Persekutuan Tionghoa, Johor Bahru. Southern College finally got approval to upgrade to Southern University College in 2012. The difficulty of this process is the historical reflection of Chinese's striving in Malaysia. In 2003, Lo Nam Hui retired from the position of president of Chinese Chamber of Commerce after 36 years. He expected the new young leader to keep on making efforts.
He talked about how long he'd been in the office, how he'd been in the office too long, and how it's time to let the younger generation take over the job. He thought it was time for him to return to his own life, to his personal life.
He contributes a lot to the educational and cultural development in China. For example, he donated to build schools in Guangxi, Fujian, and Henan, and also invested in many cultural facilities. One thing deserves to be mentioned. In 2009, after the Wenchuan earthquake in China, he also gave a helping hand and donated 1 million renminbi. This was an impressive good deed and very touching.
Lo Nam Hui is the descendant of Liu Bang and Liu Bei, so he becomes the supporter of the Persekutuan Keturunan Liu Negeri Johor and the founder of the Union of World Lius Association. Malaysian Chinese identify with traditional Chinese culture. This special awareness comes from living in a society where the Malays are the majority. It enhances the connection between Chinese and the traditional culture, also their national origin. Therefore, most overseas Chinese would return to their hometown. Lo Nam Hui is no exception. For years, these people returned to hometowns in China to worship their ancestors, makes China government to value overseas Chinese, also makes Malaysian government to reevaluate the existence of Malaysian Chinese. Through 5 Prime Ministers' terms of offices as the leader of Chinese associations, Tan Sri LOW NAM HUI provides lots of advice to government on development policies. Especially in Johor Bahru, Johor, southern Malaysia, he is a notable leader who has the ability to make successes. His self-restraint and bridging theory makes him a respected industry and commerce leader and president of Chinese associations. No matter what the season, LOW NAM HUI always gets up early to burn incense to ancestral tablets, prays for the wellness of his family and friends, and wishes to bring harmony and unity to the Liu family.
Although he is 95 years old, he keeps a sharp mind. About 10 years ago, our children told me to ask him to retire and let them take over. No need for him to work so hard anymore. I understood our children's concern for their father, and there are lots of people who are not our family who laugh at them and ask why their 95-year-old father still needs to work. Tan Sri, he analyzed and explained this to me. Although I am 95 years old, my brain is not deteriorating. My mind is still sharp. I'm here to assist our children, to train them and increase their intelligence. I am not here to work, and I am here to train them up. So he comes here with this kind of spirit. He works every day with this attitude.
A long time ago, when my mother was alive, she came to this temple to worship and to watch traditional Chinese street operas. Azo's shop had a balcony. She would sit on there to watch operas. My mother. 3 mountain kings. I am your follower, Nam Hui. Today I bring my wife, Pui Liorn, and our children to worship you, 3 mountain kings. I pray that 3 mountain kings can show you power to protect us all. Make sure we are safe and well, businesses are successful, and to bless all the people in Kalapa Sawit. Also, our country is prosperous and the people live in peace.
There's an old saying, behind every successful man, there is a great woman. But often these women have been neglected. They devote all their lives quietly and support their husbands to succeed in their career. They have no regrets and devote with all their hearts to unite families and develop businesses. Usually this is the key reason any man can succeed in career. People are the key elements in all events. people can decide the progress and results of events. As the president of Chamber of Commerce, not everyone can understand Low Nam Hui's vision and resolution. To be the leader and problem solver of Chinese community affairs needs vast knowledge, rich experience, and a unique personality. Through the methods, means, and results of his decisions, we can tell he has a special leadership style. Therefore, to review how he dealt with things in the past, his interpersonal relationships and experiences in life, we can tell that President Tan Sri Dato Low Nam Hui is a typical unique leader. In the course of Johor Bahru's history and Tan Sri Dato Low Nam Hui's life story, we can clearly see the footprints left by developments of Chinese communities in Johor Bahru's history. The moral lesson is, although we can't change the environment, we can try to see the big picture, keep our feet on the ground, and face the challenges. Create a space to make the most of our strong points.
Bien, buenas tardes.